The Quechua language, one of the native languages of Peru, and that of the Inca, was never meant to be a written language. It was always an oral tradition. It is only when others came to their country and began to know that language that they had a need to write it down. That's why Quechua, while there is a modicum of the written language, it is truly only what people thought it should look like when you write it on paper, because Quechua is an oral tradition and comes from the sounds of nature. So when a Quechua word is said, you can feel the flow of nature, the natural flow of nature. When I've listened to the Quero talk, because they only speak Quechua, there is such a beautiful flow to it. It's a melodic flow, much like the sounds of the river. But it's not only the water. It's that of the air, of fire, of earth, of spirit itself. You can hear it in the way it's spoken. I myself do not speak conversational Quechua, if you will. I do know ceremonial Quechua, but to hold a conversation, I can't do that. Because there really was no grammar, because it was never meant to be. So it's just spoken. Having said that, it is a lovely, lovely language. If I say to you, Erpachai Sonkachai, what am I saying? I'm saying from my heart to your heart. And you can hear the rhythm of the heart in that. Erpachai Sonkachai. You can hear it. It goes right in there. Our gathering this night, as you all know, I asked the sacred ones of light, sacred angels of light, please give me the guidance as to what is to be brought. And what I got was about communication, about how one thinks, and how it is that we really must think more expansively beyond just our own lives or even the way things have been. I was watching a show the other night. It was about the universe and its creation and about aliens and about, or that is to say, life on other planets. And the people who were speaking, these are learned people. These are physicists. These are astrophysicists. These are people, astronomers, and many others who are well learned in these fields. Yet very few spoke about how it is possible that life on other planets does not have to flow at all like we know life to be. It was very, very enclosed almost. Well, you know, we found on these planets, on this planet, and this star, and this moon, and this place, and this, that the very building blocks of life as we know it aren't present, so there can't be life there. That caused me to be puzzled about that. And that's where I think more expansively. Life doesn't have to be anything like we know it to be. Even on this planet, how many life forms exist here? And how many of them, if they were taken out of their natural environment and put into another environment, would not survive? So how is it that there cannot be life on other planets other than as we know it? It cannot be. It has to be. Life will, as it will, evolve and come to be as it is meant to be, beyond any construct that humans believe it should be, or is supposed to be. It is what it is. As the programs went on, there was a series of them, and so I continued watching them. They came across a place that they felt was very possibly where life began, or that it holds everything that could be or has been and can evolve to. And what was very interesting, I found, is that it has a methane atmosphere. So those few in that show were very much thinking expansively and realized that, yes, there could be a whole life form existence that are methane breathers. They went further in that show to say that despite that, it has everything that human life could live there. It would have to be in a protected, oxygen-supported environment, but they could live there. Isn't that very interesting? So think expansively. I'm going to ask you to open the phone again, Joseph, because I'd like to hear from any of you anything you'd like to say about that briefly, and then we'll get on. Okay. Everybody here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say that, I don't know, when I think of aliens, or, for lack of a better word, I would say more or less, I sort of think there's probably ones on other planets, but I think there's also ones that live inside this planet, just alongside with what's human. And I also think that, in the mythologies of the world, you have stories of sort of ancient and mythological creatures, but, who's to say at one point in time these creatures didn't physically exist,
Interesting that you say that, because these shows spoke about that.
Yeah.
About how mythology and cultures throughout the world speak of knowledge being given here, seeds being planted, and then those places built upon themselves. And each and every one of those mythologies speak about beings that were more than human. So yes, indeed. That's very, very much so. How about anyone else? Anyone else would like to say anything about this?
Well, I think more and more the Bible's being proven true as history. The Bible in the Old Testament talks about a race of giants, and geologists recently unearthed a race of giant humans in Turkey. I mean, like skeletons like 12 feet tall and more.
Yeah, in the Americas too.
And you hear about them in the UK. Yeah, all over the world, actually, not just those that we're speaking of, but all over the world. So how about that?
Well, and all the ancient civilizations have their flood story, and I think that's one of the common characteristics.
Anyone else would like to?
Well, from what I understand of the giant skulls that have been found, as far as the differences between that and a regular human skull would be that they would have 2 rows of teeth. or at least the ones that have been found that I've heard of in America. Actually, a lot around here in the Ohio Valley. They in the 1800s they've unearthed a lot of them, but they were in a lot of newspapers back then, and it's hard to say what happened to them. I don't know, but you don't really see them on display anywhere.
Yeah. Anyone else like to have something to say about this?
Well, it's interesting in ancient times, in the caves. I've watched these shows myself, and they talk about a lot. If you look at a lot of those drawings and artwork, it truly does depict something that looks alien-like. A lot of those. I totally believe in all of that.
In Egypt, the hieroglyphs, the petroglyphs, show these. Having been in Canyon de Chien, Arizona, there are hieroglyphs and there are petroglyphs throughout the canyon. And some of that is decidedly not human-looking. So this speaks to, this all is brought in because this goes to humans evolving to go beyond thinking as they have been, think more expansively. That things are not always what they seem. Things can be more or less. To go higher, to see beyond what it is that is familiar. People speak about Atlantis. What happened to Atlantis? People speak about other places. What happened? Okay. The Mayans and others, Aztecs and all those. What's happened? What I've been given about that is that when their work was complete here in this plane of existence that we know as Pachamama or Mother Earth, they ascended to another plane of existence. And so when we say they are still here, that is to say that they coexist beyond the need of time and space as humans need that. But these were beings that expanded beyond the need of just one way to exist. And in fact, folks, that's what we do. A friend of mine one time years ago when we were talking about all this, he said, we do this all the time. We put a hole in the fabric of reality and we leap through. And in fact, that is true, folks. That's exactly what we do. It's not imagination. It's not fantasy. It's not science fiction. It's real. This is why when we are in an experiential, when we are in a journey, when we are in deep sacred ceremony. Okay, Joseph, please mute the phones. When we are in these deep sacred ceremonies, experientials, journeys, whatever we are in, we have effectively pricked a hole in the fabric of reality and we have leaped through. Because where we are is not only one place, it is all places. It transcends what the human believes can be possible. Because, see, the human is very limited. It's limited to its five senses. If it can't see it, If it can't smell it, if it can't taste it, it can't touch it, it can't hear it, it isn't. Intuitively, yes, people know more than that, but they shut that down if they're not awake. We, however, who have chosen to be conscious and to do whatever it takes to leap, we know that there's more than that. So when we say we see, we're not speaking of the physical eyes and what the limited visual that our eyes can show us. We're saying that we see, with a capital S, if you will, well beyond what the physical can perceive. You know, when I was under 10 years old, a friend of mine and I were just talking about stuff, as little girls will talk. And I said to her, you know that light around people? And she said to me, what light? And I realized right then in that moment that not everybody could see what I saw. So being a little curious little girl, I had to go check this out. And I looked into other things, you know. Well, if I do this, what happens? And then I'd watch when somebody else did that, if that happened when that person did it. More often than not, it didn't happen that way. I started to realize that maybe I was seeing through different eyes. As I got older, of course, I came to know what all that was. But how is it that people think in their own way and come to believe that's the way to see things? That's the way to do things. That's the right way to see, the right way to do. To believe that's what limits the knowledge that can be gained. By believing that that's only what can be. Yes, all of you who are here know more than that because you're here. You're all conscious. You all made an active choice some point along the line that intuitive, that pain, that what you knew, that there was something to this. You looked into it and you found out it is what it is, and you took it further. That's why you're here. And that's why you are teachers, each and every one of you. Whether you know that or not, you are. And that is to say, how do you go about teaching people what you know? How do you go about teaching people that what they see, when they're so sure that their way is the right way? There may be arrogance about that. There may be just flat out being closed down about anything else. Whatever. What do you do with that? There's an old saying from the medieval times, and I know I've said this before, but I'll say it again. People carried swords. That you don't press the point of your argument. You present the side. And so, because if you press the point, people get hurt, including yourself. So no need to do that. So how do we help people to see expansively? How do we help them to know that what they feel is so? By being who and what we are. When you become conscious, whether you like it or not, you do affect the environment you're in. And so because of that, you must be consciously aware of the responsibility of being a conscious vessel, so that none of the personal gets in it. None of the personal gets in it. So with this season of light, this canopy of light that surrounds and protects the Pachamama. And by the way, folks, some of you may know this and some of you may not. Even science knows about the K-Pacha. They call it the Van Allen belt. We know it to be what it is. We know it's the canopy of light. They will give you all the scientific formulas and information, equations, and all that business about it, but we know it to be what it is. So even those who are based very much in the physical world know it. So this canopy of light, we spoke about how the good works of the world certainly does help and strengthen the canopy of light. But we know there has to be much more done. See now how thinking expansively and perceiving even more deeply, more than you ever have before, how that strengthens that canopy of light so that its glow, if you will, expands even further. So that those who are beyond this place that we call the earth see it. Now we go into matching resonance. They speak about whale song, how they do come, they being the scientists and the marine biologists and all those, do recognize that there is some language in it. And the dolphins, true, and others, they do recognize that, but they don't understand it. Okay, because they're thinking too low. They're not at a high enough resonance to understand that language. It's a star language. They are star seeds. The whales, the dolphins, and others, they are star seeds. The porpoises, all of them. Those are star seeds. They come with that star language. So when they sing, it is not what is heard by human ear only. You must, as we say, see with a capital S, you must listen with a capital L. And you will hear, you will know, and understand that language. It's really quite incredible. When we have worked in ceremony with this and called these star ones and have the whale song playing so that we can hear it, it's quite amazing what has been come from that. Their messages, their knowledge. It's really quite amazing. I am going to ask Joseph to open the phones again, and I do ask all of you, once again, please be aware that any noises in the background where you are do amplify here. So that can be anything from as moving your cup to breathing to anything. Just be aware of that. Certainly, I'm not telling you not to breathe. My God. No. Please breathe. Please breathe. Please breathe.
A mass suicide.
No. Take that out of the... Joseph, edit that out of the recording.
Okay, I'm just teasing.
I didn't hear it.
So what about all of that, folks? What are you getting about that? The whale song and going beyond the familiar to know, to hear, to listen. What have you got?
Well, I think of when babies have their own language up until about 2 or so, where they communicate with each other, and they have a knowledge or a wisdom that's probably beyond an adult's, because they have not been disconnected from their heavenly roots.
Okay. So,
also, go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
I was reflecting on what you were saying earlier about, scientists not being able to find life on other worlds. Well, they're as you're saying, their thinking is from a human-centric perception. They can't imagine life being in any other form than what we would consider to be life. Which is not true.
Anyone else?
This is Linda. I think it's. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you got this, Linda.
Okay, I think it's our language and it's a universal language, and and that's the language of what you were speaking about that most people can't even comprehend.
Yeah. So taking that even
that
further,
form of communication is very, very different. Very different.
Keep going.
Well, it brings to mind just everyday sort of conversations with some people. I can feel like I'm right next to them, and I feel almost like they speak a different language. Sometimes, with some people in some situations, it's a sort of different. Sometimes I feel people talk and communicate differently, and that's normal. But from where I'm coming from, I feel like what's really effective in sort of bridging that gap is to just sort of present all sides without promoting a personal bias. That way people can really form and structure their own opinions about something and have the whole picture of what's really there if both sides or all sides are really articulated.
Yes. How does that help to think more expansively? How does that help one to go higher than just what they know, go beyond what they know, what they believe?
Well, I think it's an opportunity to plant seeds. I call them educable moments. If they might ask a question about something they're curious about, but they're not quite sure whether they should be going there because there's some anxiety about even asking the questions.
So what can we do? Remember what Margaret Mead said, that never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. So what can we do? What can we do, folks? Should we just all stay in our own little comfortable safety corners of the world and think good thoughts and do good in our own little corners of the world? Should we just continue to do that? And pray for peace and pray that people come together? Or is there something more we can do? What do you got, folks?
Well, I think that's part of our divine plan, is to go out there and using the gifts that God has given us to plant those seeds that help open up people to their own enlightenment, to help reveal that person's light to themselves.
We must come together. This is what raises it up. Envision, folks. Take a moment to center and ground and envision. Each person by him or herself, through intent, bringing light into the world. Now, let's expand that to a group of people coming together, bringing their light together, what do you see now? A geyser of light, a column of light that glows and expands, this pillar of light. As above, so below. So it comes together, flowing eternally. As above, so below. This is why it's essential that we do this. There can't be anything else. I'm going to ask you to mute the phones for a moment, Joseph, because I've come across, I was guided to pull some writing that was done maybe 20 years ago out.
All right,
and I'm going to read it forth. Okay? We spoke about whale song and how it is that they are star beings. And some work that was being done, we called on the whales to speak with us, to give their message. And this is what Orca came and said this. Once we were of the stars, now we hold the ancient records in our voice. Not understood yet, violence stands, causing ancient knowledge not to be heard. Clear the violence, and we will be heard. Knowledge of love, joy is true power. The elements connect it. Strength is compassion. Knowledge is strength. Violence weakens all. The stars will come. Not for now. They are here, not all. Some. Listen to the animals, they know. They are the teachers. Fire, water, air, earth, all. Connects. Stop the violence. This is what they said. Very clear. Very, very clear. So it is essential that each and every one of us here tonight and beyond come to know, realize how seriously vital it is that we must come together physically, spiritually, in every way to get this done, to go beyond the familiar communications, the way things should be. And yes, it is true that each and every one of you have done that in ways in your life already. Let's take it further, folks. We have to go higher. We have to go deeper. We have to know that we must come together in the one. There cannot be any reasons why we do not. There can't be. Well, it's too far away. Oh, I can't do it. I have to wash my hair that night. I have to go shopping. But I promised my friends I'm supposed to do this. I'm just tired. I don't have enough money. I have too much money. I have to work. I don't have to work. I have children. I don't. Any other reason. We can't do that anymore. Can't do that anymore. Doesn't have to be comfortable. Show up anyway. Why is this being brought in this call of creation tonight? Why? Why is this being brought in this season of light, in this canopy of light? We have had sacred holidays in the last couple of weeks, and in this week as well, and weeks ahead. How is it? Why is this being brought now? It's very important that it's essential that we all go higher. Feel the joy. not only the weight. Yeah, this is serious stuff. It is that. Nevertheless, we don't have to feel only the weight. How do we lighten that load? By lightening up through joy, through delight, through sacred intent. Keep it simple. Yes, this is what is to be done. Stepping in and getting it done. There's no way around that. It's only the story, the personal old stories that make things so heavy and so weighed down. Don't have to be like that. So people in these holidays, they're thinking of others. They're thinking of themselves. They're thinking of those who have passed. They're thinking of perhaps babies being born. They're thinking many different things. So how can we take all of that thinking, help people to take all of that thinking and rise it higher? Rise it up so it's higher and deeper at the same time, because it is. How can we do that? By each and every one of us doing just that. That when we feel the human stories within each of us starting to chatter at us, to recognize it consciously. And we all know what to say now, right? Stop it, drop it, I got this. So we know that. So, Joseph, open the phones. Let's hear from you, folks, each and every one of you. Tell me when we're open.
We are.
What about all of that, folks? What about what Orca, the message of Orca? Anybody? Anybody out there?
Yep, thinking.
Yes.
What about that message of Orca? What is that telling us? What about what was just said? About moving your own good thoughts even higher and deeper, expanding it. How about that, folks? What does anyone have to say?
Not putting limitations on what you can accomplish and helping others.
Mm-hmm.
I think what I need to learn is acceptance of what other people say and adjust my perception, because it is language, and sometimes I perceive the way a person says something to be offensive, but again, that's me taking it personally.
Yep.
I've had a lot of that. And since we've been talking, I think the ego has come up, or the lower self, so I really am learning it, to be aware of it with these phone calls a lot more now.
Well, that's wonderful to hear, because you can bring that out into the world.
Mm-hmm.
So what about Orca? What did any of you perceive in that message of Orca, the whale?
Well, what I heard you say was about ending the violence and the fear, and if you learn how to do that, then you could begin to hear the message of love and peace of the whale.
Because that's what these star beings bring. That's what they bring.
And what I get from it is that we're cutting ourselves off because of the fact of the violence, and not trying to move to the next level of this so we could be on that higher vibration to be able to communicate better. It seems that really we're like shutting down even worse with all the texting that we're doing. You know, it's not people coming together and face-to-face and, you know, fellowship, which is important.
That's what it's all about. We're one.
Yes.
We are one.
And we have to lift each other up to get to that vibration, to be able to hear them, hear the real language. And we're not hearing it because we're so bogged down with all this other stuff that's going on. And a lot of it we're creating ourselves.
Yeah, and also, you know, in my opinion, humans are star beings. So
the star seed is within. The star seed is within each human, yes. Whether it's ever realized and nurtured consciously so it grows into a plant of the knowledge that it is. Now that's what we're working with this evening. Yeah. I have something else I'm going to read because this goes hand in hand with why it is that people have such struggles with this, of going higher, of listening with those higher ears, if you will. So I'm going to ask you to mute it one more time, and I'm going to read this.
All right.
Yes?
Yep.
This is called Let Go and Let God. So we can say, let go and let the light. God is the light and all the sacred beings of light. So, as children bring their broken toys with tears for us to mend, I brought my broken dreams to God because He is my friend. But then instead of letting Him in peace to work alone, I hung around and tried to help with ways that were my own. At last I snatched them back again and cried, how can you be so slow? My child, he said, what could I do? You never did let go. Aho. What are you holding on to, folks? The light creates all. It is eternal. It is always eternally evolving, moving, changing in a rhythm that is exquisite beyond description. But if we hold on to anything that we say, oh, this is mine, but you fix it. It's mine, but you fix it. It's mine, but you make it right. Why aren't you making it right? Just like this said, you never did let go. That's about being, moving higher, taking that thought and expanding it, taking that sense of something, expand that perception, expand it, higher, 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 deeper, because the energetics that are here now, that's what this is. The evolution of all life as never has ever been before, but is now here and will continue to come. How would it be, folks, if I were to offer to you that I would be willing to set up maybe a Thursday night to a Sunday, a weekend or a 3-day weekend where we can come together in sacred ceremony and call the whales the star beings. Come together in that small group that Margaret Mead has spoken of. How would it be? Each and every one of you, are you willing to come? Are you willing to physically show up, or are you going to let the human lower self get in the way and give you all the reasons, the justifiable excuses not to come? Too far, it's too close, not, I don't have the money, I have the money. I have the job, I don't have the job. I have this, I don't have this. Whatever the excuses are. Are you willing to do whatever it takes unconditionally so that all comes together in this cloth of creation, weaving this new cloth of creation with the energetics that are now here? Would you be willing to do it? Open the phones, Joseph.
Yep.
How about that, folks? How about that, folks?
When would you be talking about?
It's just a matter of me contacting the retreat place and finding out when they've got it open. How about that, folks?
I'm in.
Okay.
Can't wait
I agree.
to hear from the whale.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's how I have fun. I would love to
Yes.
go, friend. That would be awesome. Of course I'll be there. I'm here every
Okay.
week.
Yeah, we'll just let you live there. And we'll just come up and see you from time to time, huh?
Yeah, nice vacation.
Yeah, that sounds like a plan.
And Linda and Al are going to be living in the next room. I see that. And Fran and her little EC are going to be in the next room. Okay. And how about the rest of you? How about the rest of you? Ready to show up? Are you willing to show up, or are you going to give any reasons why you can't?
I'm willing.
All right. How about the rest of you?
I think everyone's answered.
No, I think there's a few others with us who haven't.
There's just 5 of us here.
See, it's very convenient for the lower self to give you justifiable reasons not to do a thing. But that's staying well in the personal, in the comfort zones, and making sure that your own little corner of the cloth stays secure. But that's all the cloth will be, because it'll be only your little tiny corner. A lot bigger than that, folks. Just step in. Make it happen. So what about this, folks? What else have you got? What have you got about this? This raising the energetics. This
I think that is very necessary.
Mm-hmm.
Very necessary.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I almost feel like, the energetics that are here are pretty much already raised. It's just a matter of balancing what's here and just sort of bringing it, tuning it, and clearing it, et cetera, et cetera. I feel like there's already been a huge, gigantic shift, and it's just a matter of sort of catching up to speed with it, and, letting go of whatever's in the way of it being fully present.
Well, but you see, that's the thing. The energetics that are here now have never been before. These are higher than they ever have been. These are new energetics that have never been here before. So what is here now is well beyond. So it's enlightening people to know that It's no longer just talking about it. It's no longer about just stepping into your own corner and making sure that that's okay. Do you hear something else? As we're working this evening, I'm going through this notebook that I've had for many years because I've been told to do this. And here's one that says right here, it's easy to say no when there's a deep yes burning inside. How about that?
Well, it's walking through the fear of the unknown.
Here's another one. Vision is the best manifestation of creative imagination and the primary motivation of human action. It's the ability to see beyond our present reality, to create, to invent what does not yet exist, to become what we not yet are. It gives us capacity to live out of our imagination instead of our memory. Very big, that. Very, very big, that. And that's what we have to do. Perceive through vision, not think through memory. This is what raises the energetics. This is what brings it higher, the thinking expansively. Last week, the angels came. How about that? How did that, since that day, how's it been with you about that? Have you felt them? Have you known them anymore?
Yeah, all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I have. I welcome them and I thank them for what they bring.
Yeah. So I know we're getting close to the completion of our cloth this evening. How about this week of this holiday? Last week there was Hanukkah. This week there will be Christmas. What do you bring into this season of life? What have you got?
Forgiveness.
Gratitude.
What can you bring now through this, bringing this higher? What can you bring to help assist in thinking expansively, going beyond your own heart, your own, taking your conception and moving it into perception? What can you do? What have you got?
Well, I think it's being willing to speak your divine truth.
Yeah.
You know, and planting that seed, and I think in you know, when you speak your divine truth, I think you naturally raise the vibrational level in the environment within which you're speaking.
Okay. Anyone else? What are you coming to know in this cloth of creation this evening? And not only it's helping you, but will help others. What are you coming to know? Anybody?
And we need to step in and do the work so that we could all raise our vibrations to a higher level. So we should bring back that that love and that joy and all that's needed. Get rid of the violence. And let go, truly let go and let God. Just don't say it. We have to do it. We have to actively do it. I used to say it before, but I would say it, and I probably meant it at that moment, but then I would go back and try to fix it myself, And when I finally, just maybe 2 months ago, actually really let go and let God, it's been the most peaceful time of my life ever. And I'm fighting to stay there because there are times when certain circumstances will arise to try to pull you back out of that and pull you back down. But the feeling is so extraordinary and so wonderful. Once you really have done it, you don't want to go back, and I refuse to go back.
But because you are conscious, you have that. You consciously can make your choice.
Yes.
Nobody can take that away from you.
Exactly. And I'm there now.
Mhm.
Finally.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yep, I've been feeling something similar, Linda. Like the past few weeks, sort of struggling with different thoughts and sort of knocking myself around, and then I just realized I sort of had a breakthrough that I'm really the only one that can do that to me or accept that from anyone else. And since then, I've just really not accepted anyone to let me sort of feel a different way or to make myself feel bad about anything. And
right.
Don't even want to go there just because it's, I don't know, it doesn't make sense. But yeah, it feels good.
Mm-hmm.
It feels fantastic.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And even now, any of you that can feel your lower self chattering at you, trying to convince you that you should stay in the old ways and the old things and the old beliefs and all of that, chattering at you that it's not safe to expand. It's better to stay right where you are. You have all the justifiable reasons to do that. So, why do you want to go anywhere when it's so comfortable here? Anybody going through that right now in this call? And even I just want to complete it by saying that and even now, even as that's being asked of you, how is the lower self grabbing onto you so you can't respond? So you're the conscious one. You are the higher perceptual primal self. You get to make the choices, not the lower self. So keep going. Michael, you were going to say something.
Oh yeah, I was just saying something along the lines of. I mean, I hear when I'm ready to make a leap of faith in some area, I can hear the chatter say, "Oh, you're not ready for this," or "Oh, you need more time," or more knowledge, or something, more of something, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, when I sort of make a big decision or going to go do some workshop or some event, once I sort of align with that intent, I just feel great. I just feel clear and I can just feel the result of my decision before I even did anything, really.
Mhm. 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 Expand, folks. Expand. Some of you already know about that. Some of you are coming to know about that. And some of you are letting the lower self make the decision. You can make the choice, not the lower self. You get to fly high, folks. Fly high. It's what it's about.
I when you spoke about the whales and what's needed for us to do as a group, I was sitting here with a sweater on, and then I had a jogging jacket on top of that, and an intense heat came throughout my whole body, and I had to take it off, take off the jacket because I felt very warm and very hot from from excitement of what we can do and what needs to be done and what I so desperately am seeking.
Yes, you see, again, that goes with the code that we live by, doesn't it? What I do for myself, I do for the greater good, not because it serves me only, but because it serves us all. And that does require one to step way outside of that comfort safety zone, the personal. And folks, you know what? Fear is an illusion. The lower self creating all its stories, writing scripts for anticipatory events that will never happen, riddling them with fears, and effectively keep a person stuck unless a person looks up and sees through the eyes of the primal, higher perceptual primal self. Then the person can say, what am I doing? I got this. I got this. I'm doing whatever it takes because it serves us all. So be it. And that's all. Everything else becomes story. And that is essential for you to come to know that, folks. So what we're going to do is we are going to take a journey to that canopy of light, and we're going to have a look at it. In this season of light, just see what's happening. So I'm going to ask you to put the phones on mute.
All right.
And I'm going to ask each and every one of you to center and ground. Center, ground, be still. So, Psyche, Wira Kocha, Pachamama, Mamikila, Inti, Daika, Kantor, Apukunya, Kunchai, Me, Munai. Show us, you who swim deep in our oceans, such as Pachamama, you who are star beings, show us so that we may see. Sing so that we may listen and hear what the stars say. Show us this canopy of light. Orga, Orga, Orga. strands, the weaving of this canopy of light, what it is that we must do. We see how bright and strong the canopy of light is, yet we see where it has become dim and weakened, and how it is that this canopy of light must be brought into higher illumination. Show us. We do ask that you touch us, each and every one of us, in our hearts, in our souls, in our spirits, in all that we are, in the very core of our being, so that all that no longer serves the fears of going beyond the comfort, the safety zones, float away as so much on the flows, the waves of the ocean, the star sea, the star ocean. Shaskaruni, Shaskaruni, Shaskaruni. This canopy of light, see it in all its splendor, its brightness, its strength. See how it is so ready to break free and expand limitlessly, so ready. Yet there are strands of the old, the violence, all the human constructs that hold it. Let us come together. We must be one. Come together and break these strands and let them transform, transmute into the light that it is, that they are. Sulpiki orca, Sulpiki wirakocha, Sulpiki pachamama, Sulpiki institaita, Sulpiki mamakila, Sulpiki apukunya. Sulpiki punchai, Sulpiki punchai, Sulpiki sumai. Orca moonai, Orca moonai, Orca moonai. Sulpiki, we thank you all, you who are all the sacred ones of light. Viracocha, Father Sun, Mother Moon, Mother Earth, the sacred mountains of light themselves, the whales, the star beings, the dolphins, the porpoises, all the star beings who have willingly, gladly accepted in being here to bring us the knowledge. Now is the time. We thank you. Can open the phone, Joseph.
Right.
Okay, folks, centering ground. Return here into your current physical body and the time and place where you are. And bring forth what you have come to know, what you have seen before we complete the causal creation call for this evening. What did you see? What do you know now?
I was swimming with the whales.
Yeah. What did you all see? What do you come to know now?
Well, for some reason, I was just in the graveyard with my father.
You have to go higher. Higher beyond the personal. Beyond the fears of expanding. And into the present so the future can come to be. Well, how about all of you? Anyone else? At least say yes. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, I was looking at the energetic grid, and it just seemed sort of, I don't know, almost kind of like sparkly-ish, rather than, whereas before, like earlier in the year, it just sort of felt a little scattered, and like, you know, there's little sort of pockets of where, you know, there was a lot of light and a lot of life. But now it's just sort of very bright and very almost, I don't know how I could describe it, sort of like sparkly.
Well, that works. But you see, this is the season of light. That's why. More people at this time of year than any other time of the year are sending goodwill, whether they know it or not, and that's why. So how about anyone else before we do complete the call? At least please say yes so we know you're back.
Yes.
Okay. Anyone else? Linda, you with us?
Yes. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Anyone else?
Sorry.
I think that's it.
Okay. Okay, folks. Anyone else would like to say something before we close? Then in this season of light, as we continue strongly throughout the rest of this week, throughout the new year, and into the new year, I should say, let us together Ukui our intent of light and expansion. Okay, let's do that together. Strongly, completely filled with love, Munai, delight, blended extraordinariness. That together, delightfully, we come together and do this. This wonderful we give to all. And all others who in this moment are working just as we are in their own way. So together, let us do this. So Psyche. Well done, folks. There is a feeling that this is not quite complete. Anybody have something that they would like to bring out before we are complete? Don't hold back. This is your IU. You bring this. What do you got? Don't let that lower self get in the way. What do you got? Anyone else feel anything?
Well, I had a vision of me speaking on top of a mountain, and the light just kept on getting brighter and brighter. It was blinding.
Mhm. Anybody here would like to offer guidance of love, of IU, to anyone else who is here, anyone who is here in any way, shape, or form?
Well,
Go ahead and say it.
I would like to say if anybody's just afraid of speaking what's in the heart, if they have a vision or whatever, it's not in this gathering. There is total acceptance. You won't be made to look like a fool or feel foolish or minimized because of your own truth. So I think this gathering gives a very safe haven to be who God created you to be.
Yes. Thank you, Michael. Anybody else? Linda, Mary Lou, Joseph.
I feel peaceful.
Very good. Linda, Joseph.
Yes. Well, I would say thank you to everyone who is here. I appreciate your presence.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, Psyche. Linda.
I say go out and bring joy to the world. That's what we sing about. Let's live it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's lighten the load. And just, it's beautiful this time of year when everybody have their lights on, and it just lifts my spirits. I'm like a little kid again when I'm riding. I'm seeing all the beautiful lights, and I just wish it would stay that way all the time. But it should lift all of us to a higher level, just with the brightness that's going on the outside, to make it bright forth on the inside as well.
That's right.
And stay that way.
The wonderful way to bring this call to a completion. Keep your lights on.
Yeah.
Yes. My husband said to me tonight, "Why are you turning the lights on in the daytime? Why not?"
Yeah.
Why
keep
not?
your lights on.
Yeah, keep the high beams on there.
Yes.
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 Be joyous. Be outrageous.
Yes.
Be outrageous. Be your wild, crazy self that you are, joyously, delightfully, and let everyone else know that they can join in.
Sure.
Yes.
And be that. Be that. And that's what it's about. So, because some of you have said yes, you would love to have come and work with whales, call on the whales. I'll see what I can do about that.
Good.
Cool.
And, yeah. Well, I can say to each and every one of you and all those who are not with us tonight, Urpachai Sonkachai, from my heart to your heart. Sulpaiki. Continue having a wonderful season of light, joyously, outrageously, delightfully, in an extraordinary way, bringing forth your life, and your light, and your love. Thank you all. We'll see you
Amen.
next week.
Thank you.
Good night.
Happy holidays.
Merry Christmas.
Yes.
Remember
Merry
the
Christmas.
tenderness.
Ho, ho, Merry Christmas.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.